Heya. In this video I will talk about, well, something that most of you might know, but for people that were playing just recently, might be a fun fact. Since Honkai Star Rail is 1 year old now, I would like to look back at one specific path, which is the hunt, and how it evolved over the year, with supporting its characters, which were popular choices back then. I don't try to make these videos, this kind of videos as well, despite me trying to usually stick to silent ones, but sometimes I guess this kind of video should be nice, I suppose. Let me know down in the comments if you would like to see videos about other paths, for example erudition maybe, especially in 2.3 after it releases. I'm starting with this one since I really like hunt path, okay. And I also want you to stick to the end because I have few questions for upcoming videos. With that out of the way, let's start. Now, starting off with how it's starting and how it's going, you wouldn't notice much change other than 3 new characters. However, those 3 characters and some supports are responsible for having the current meta for hunt and playstyles that each person can choose. In 1.0, as you can see, highlighted we had Sele, Sushang, Yanking and Danheng. And starting with Sele, she was the first limited character available. People did like with Vent in Genshin, they were rerolling or praying for RNG to get her. And to this day she still stands strong thanks to her team and still packing the punch by herself. She has lots of damage, she's speedy on her own and has access to Mono Quantum with Silver Wolf, but later on that. We are still in 1.0. In that scenario, if you had her, the best teammates were Bronya, Tingyun and Natasha. Bronya for action advance, Tingyun for more attack and energy regen, and Natasha for healing. Especially that we've got quite a few add-ons of her on the way. Other than that, you could also use preservation character like Gepard or Fire Trailblazer. Fire Trailblazer and Natasha were basically very popular back then. However, what happened if you lost your first 50-50? Whether it was Sele or Jinkyuan or maybe even Departure Warp or Standard Banner, you had chance to obtain Yanking, and we all know how much of a meme he is. But in the beta and right around the release, he was said to be alongside Bronya as second best drop from Standard Pool. Let's say. However, right after the release there were few problems. Not exactly a lot of enemies had ice weakness, on which he excelled at breaking. He needed specific shielder and was very resource hungry. He literally needed to avoid getting attacked, or else he wouldn't get his buff from skill, from I think also ultimate and talent. We'll return to him a bit later as well. These 2 were your 5-star options, but what about 4-stars? Well, for starters you had Danheng for free, overall pretty okayish for hunt. He was scaling well, he has good multipliers, and was overall good for wind breaking. But as the game went further, I think that without proper investment, he did fall off. That and also relying on allies to proc his talent. He can be still used for windbreaks and whatnot, but I think only dedicated mains are using him right now. Same can be said about Sushang, who was more available after Sele's banner on Jinkyuan's one. Overall very speedy, scales of attack well as with her add-ons, but again, she can fall off without breaks and RG. How many times I lost damage over her crits? I don't know. Out of those 2, she's gotten more buffs over time. These were characters for 1.0, and over the next few patches, only Sele stood out and was the best hunt character reported by people submitting their runs. Not only that, but while the remaining 3 were having around 2% usage thanks to the remains, Sele's team continued to get better and better. First in 1.1, There was Silver Wolf with extremely important ability, which was Weakness Implant. Even if boss didn't have Quantum Weakness or any other one of your DPS, you could just use Silver Wolf to create it for you. And she was used in this team with Sela or Kinque, just to mention her being pretty cracked as well, competing with Sela for spot as main DPS in this team. And while 1.2 was, you could say, uneventful, in 1.3 there were two more Quantum characters. Lynx as 4-star healer to help out if you didn't get the main prize, which was Fushuan. To date, my most impressive character with this much potential for survivability. If you haven't got Luaka or any other good shielder, healer, she was the way to go basically. And up to 1.4 you've got pretty solid triple Quantum team with Sela or Kinque, Bronya, Tingyun, depending on who you had, Silver Wolf and Fushuan. Then there was 1.4 and finally second limited 5-star from the hand dropped, which was Topaz, and she was about to begin a new chapter for one specific team. Now starting off, Topaz was quite the risky choice. First she was right after Jingliu, who was and still is a fucking track that hits solid. Getting Jingliu was pretty good deal and there was a nice choice. You could play it safe on Jingliu if you had good investment charts, like for example again Bronya, Tingyun, these two were pretty good for Jingliu, and later save for future help for her or whatever you wanted, or just invest in Topaz, who promised buff to follow up the teams that were about to drop in the future. And investing in Topaz, well, turned out great. First she buffed a bit Himeko for fire-oriented Forgotten Halls, as well as Clara overall, so that's a plus I guess. And not even that, but also she could still dish out a lot of damage by herself. That was for 1.4 everything I think. 1.5 gave us two solid buffs, which were follow-up relic set and Glamour planar ornaments. I could mention also arena set from World 7 by Celepoint, but I suppose by that time some people could have pretty well built their Sela. Then we enter 1.6 and holy first, there is Ruan Mei, support for everyone including hand characters. Multiple Nambis attacking fire weakness opponent cause them to explode, literally. Ruan Mei was also this close to reviving Sushang. In theory she did and was doing good herself, but still she needed that one more push. Also in 1.6 we've gotten Pure Fiction, a mode that revived Herta, Himeko and also few other follow-up characters and AoE characters, and guess who can be used there too? Well, only Topaz out of hand characters due to fiery weakness, playing with Herta or Himeko, but still some people were trying to bring over their Sele and worked too, so it's okay I guess. But then in second half of 1.6 we've got...
When version 1.6's Pantaray Event Warp becomes available, every Trailblazer who has unlocked the mail feature shall receive, via mail, one limited 5-star character Dr. Ratio. That is to say, me. Through sheer tyranny of will, I shall become ubiquitous. With this, I bid you farewell.
Dr. Ratio being free 5-star to claim was huge, not only because he was doing good by himself with debuffers like Pela, but also because of the synergy with Topaz, especially with her while you had her on E1, S1. The damage output of those two doing chainlink of Topaz ult followed by Ratio's ult, then Nambi attacking, then Ratio attacking, somewhere also Topaz or someone attacking, triggering Ratio's another Fua, and then another Nambi once more. Small break. But overall, Topaz ratio was your way to go, and this was only possible thanks to him being for free to all, since he was alongside Kafka and also 2.0 characters that were very tempting too. Those who planned on pulling him were happy to say the least. Myself, I wanted to skip him, which I, let's say, would regret because of Topaz. But thanks to him being now free, literally if you wanted to have really good team, now you would want to get Topaz. These two have given us another way to play the hand, and with Ruamei or Tingyun, this team was able to beat every favorable content for them easily. But that's only the beginning of buffs for Handpath and this specific team. 2.0 was huge, new land which was Pennec only, new debuff set which is the best set for Ratio so far, and what's most important is the character in second half of 2.0, which was Sparkle, the final piece for Monoquantum team, with her working similar to Bronya, giving out crit damage, advancing action, but only 50%, not 100%, providing damage increase, and on top of that, giving out skill points, Monoquantum with Sele, or Kikwe for that matter as well. Okay, final time I'm bringing her up. Got really bad. So far this team got everything. Weakness implant for their element, for their DPS, survivability, good support, and of course solid damage dealer that still stands thanks to their of course damage. And until 2.3 we won't see any much changes for this team, I suppose. Only time will tell if Jade will be useful there or in something other than follow-up team. We are parting with Sele and her team for now, and we focus on two other teams. In 2.1, in second half, we've got Aventurine, someone really comparable to Fushuan if you didn't have her or had but needed another preservation. Aventurine not only buffed Huahan team with Topaz and Ratio, but also Yanking. Remember that I was supposed to come back to him? Yeah, now's the time. Having his stupid requirement of not being able to be hit, Aventurine can easily save him by constantly dishing out the shields, for whole team even. Especially that the Forgotten Hall boss and enemies in second half of 12th stage, or the latest one, on the time I record this, the boss and enemies were having ice weaknesses. It gave Yanking a bit of hope. I'm not entirely sure about how he'll fare later on, but Aventurine did help him out a lot. I think with ice weaknesses, Yanking should be quite an option if you have Aventurine. Back to Topaz and Ratio again. Other than shields, he also had follow-ups. His follow-up attack was able to hit every enemy which could trigger Nambi, and also right use Chalk if you had his ultimate up on someone. Overall, pretty great if you ask me. While not necessary if you have Fushuan there, he's still a nice addition to that IPC follow-up attack team. And now we are at 2.2, again heavy buffs but also new character and new way of playing hand comps. Let's start again with Fua buffs. In this first half of this patch, we've got Robin, who is basically mostly for Fua teams due to giving them benefits and benefiting from her teammates. First, she grants them damage increase team-wide for 3 turns, and you can lock it through her ultimate. Speaking of ultimate, she advances action of all allies, increases their attack and also deals fixed amount of damage one time. And also grants them crit damage through talent and A4 trace. She also benefits from them, like I said, due to having heavy energy costs. Robin can regenerate energy through allies that attack. It's 2 energy, but over time it accumulates and suddenly she can have her ultimate up again right after the first one ended. Add to that the buffs from her signature light cone, and yeah, overall great option. That's not all, of course. From story we were able to unlock Harmony Trailblazer as well. They are not exclusive to Handpath only, but to every character that can also utilize break effect. all thanks to their ultimate that lasts 3 turns, that gives break effect, and also triggers super break damage, which of course scales with our characters. Break damage, being able to deal a lot of it every time we strike enemy with weakness break, further increased by 8 trace. Also, thanks to insane ways of regenerating energy, we can get our ult pretty fast. Now, it's kinda mandatory to use someone like Run Mei to get the best efficiency, but in the end, effect is stunning. Who did exactly benefit from it? Well, let me tell you that Hartmanns Trailblazer was the push that Sushank needed. With her wanting to attack weakness broken enemies, getting buffs after someone is broken, and having good base stats, I think the potential is there to use her again. Or at least a bit more. Just stack on her lots of break effect, speed, and she can be a mini Buffy if you didn't pull him. Oh, and also, speaking of him, he's arriving in second half of this patch, and does exactly that, but better. He can apply physical weakness and deal massive damage from ultimate, has massive toughness reduction, and also deals break damage. Overall, he's great and contributes to another way of playing Hunt, with those weakness breaks alongside Hartmanns Trailblazer and Ruan Mei. At this point I could stop, but I want to also mention what will be coming in the next patch that can help you out later, on which is the new set for break effect and also follow-ups. They grant, in my opinion, interesting stats. Break effect 1 grants with 4-piece defense ignore upon certain threshold, and follow-up 1 increases both attack and damage upon using ultimates or follow-up attacks. They sound interesting, but I'm not sure yet if I would switch to second one, the follow-up attack one, on certain characters, considering the rest of my follow-up characters are well built now. And that was so far the short history of Hunt buff. From Sele being only one on top, to Fua team option with Topaz and Ratio, up to now with Hartmanns Trailblazer reviving Sushank a bit, and also being a huge help for Bullfield, and overall break option for future. I hope I covered everything in this video. I know that some topics should be a bit longer, maybe some a bit shorter, but oh well, that will be under work. I also, like I mentioned on the beginning of the video, would like to ask you if you would like to see me mentioning stuff from future patches like I did with 2.3, because usually I won't want to consider them in my videos due to not being them on live server at all. The next video though I was planning on was about Hartmanns Trailblazer and how much they change in terms of some characters or teams. Like I mentioned Sushank, but also I would like probably maybe to include there some like Firefly, Bullfield, and maybe the new sets. I think with clear answer I could focus on those videos better and include more info as well, or maybe focus on the existing one. I'm not someone who can theory craft, but rather someone who complies stuff and assumes that this and that option is optimal and could be easy to farm if you know what I mean. Like for example, if there's new 2.3 set and is really good and I see that people are praising it, then I would probably also recommend it, knowing that people also think about the same thing as I. But anyway, I hope you liked this video and I will see you in the next one.